Have you ever found yourself lying in bed and he reaches over and puts his hand on your leg? And instead of feeling excited, you feel anxious? Not because you don't love him. Of course you do. He's a wonderful man. He's kind, he's attractive. You still enjoy spending time together. But the moment you think he might want sex, your stomach tightens. Maybe you pretend to be asleep. Maybe you suddenly remember something that you forgot to do. Maybe you quietly hope, please don't ask tonight. If you've ever felt that way, you're not a bad wife and you're definitely not alone. Today, I want to talk about why so many women stop wanting sex with partners they genuinely love, especially when penetration has become painful or when intimacy has slowly become something they endure instead of something they look forward to. Because I don't think you've stopped loving your partner. I think your brain has stopped believing intimacy is going to feel good. And those are two very different things. I want you to think back, not to the beginning of your relationship, but to the last time you were genuinely excited about being intimate. Can you remember it? For some women, it's been months. For others, years. Somewhere along the way, sex stopped being something that you anticipated and became something you mentally prepared yourself to get through. Maybe intercourse started hurting. Maybe menopause changed everything. Maybe cancer treatment, childbirth, surgery, radiation, pelvic floor dysfunction. Or maybe life just became exhausting. You worked all day, made dinner, cleaned the kitchen, answered everyone's questions, took care of everybody else. And by the time your head hit the pillow, the last thing your body wanted was one more thing that required something from you. So when your husband reaches over, your brain doesn't think, this is going to feel amazing. It thinks, I hope it doesn't hurt, or I hope he doesn't expect intercourse, or I don't have the energy tonight. Your brain isn't rejecting your husband. It's trying to protect you because your brain is smarter than you think. One of my favorite concepts comes from sex educator Emily Nagoski. She explains that our brains have accelerators and they have brakes. Accelerators are the things that help us feel desire, feeling emotionally connected, feeling attractive, laughing together, flirting, feeling safe, feeling wanted. Those are accelerators. But brakes are everything that tells your brain, this isn't a good idea. Pain, stress, exhaustion, body shame, pressure, fear of disappointing your partner, fear he'll expect intercourse, fear you'll have to fake enjoyment. If you've been experiencing painful penetration, your brain has probably had its foot on the brake for a very long time. And honestly, that's exactly what a healthy brain is supposed to do. Pain is your body's way of saying, let's not do that again. The problem isn't your brain. The problem is that many couples never learn another way to be intimate. We've made one act responsible for our entire sex life. Here's something I wish every couple understood. Intercourse is one way to experience intimacy. It isn't intimacy itself. But somewhere along the line, our culture convinced us that if intercourse isn't happening, then nothing's happening. And that's heartbreaking because I have worked with couples who have built incredible intimate relationships without penetration. They kiss, massage each other, cuddle naked. They laugh, they give and receive pleasure. They feel desired and connected and playful. Sometimes they orgasm, sometimes they don't. But the goal isn't orgasm, just like it isn't penetration. The goal is to walk away from the experience feeling closer than you did before. Now, I'm going to offer you some suggestions for restoring your desire for your husband so that you can enjoy intimacy and connection again without pain or fear. So, number one, permanently redefine intimacy. The first step may be the hardest, but it's also the most important. Stop measuring your intimate relationship by whether penetration happens. If penetration is painful, medically unsafe, or simply no longer possible, then continuing to judge your relationship by that standard is like judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. You're using the wrong definition of success. I want you and your partner to make a conscious decision. From this day forward, penetration is no longer the goal of your intimate relationship. Connection is, pleasure is, affection is, feeling desired is, feeling loved is. Because intimacy was never supposed to be one specific act. It was always supposed to be about two people making each other feel loved and desired and sexy. When you stop mourning the intimacy you used to have, you finally create space to build the intimacy you can have. And that shift changes everything. So, number two, rebuild desire through safe touch. Once you've removed the expectation of penetration, it's time to teach your body something new. Touch doesn't have to lead to pain. For many people who've experienced painful intercourse, the body learns that every kiss, every cuddle, every caress is simply the beginning of something it wants to avoid. So no wonder desire disappears. But we're going to change that story. For 1 week, make a commitment to touch each other at least 3 times a day in a completely non-sexual way. Hold hands when you're walking. Hug before leaving the house. Sit close while watching a movie. Rub each other's shoulders. Play with each other's hair. Give a foot massage. Rest your head on each other's chest. None of that needs to lead anywhere because the goal isn't to become aroused. The goal is to remind your nervous system that closeness feels comforting instead of threatening. When touch feels safe again, desire has somewhere to grow. So, number three, get to know each other again. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is assuming they still know what the other person enjoys. But after surgery, after menopause, after illness, after years together, you've both changed. Your body has changed and your comfort level has changed. Your turn-ons have probably changed. Even the way you like to receive affection may have changed. So get curious. Ask each other questions. What feels good now? What doesn't feel good now? One of the conversation guides I use with my coaching clients helps couples talk about these things in a way that feels safe instead of awkward. Because your partner cannot love the woman you are today if you never introduce her. Number four, build a love den. I want every couple listening to create what I call a love den, a place that belongs to your relationship, not to chores or stress, not to scrolling on your phone, just the two of you. Create a love-making playlist for your love den. Light candles. Bring out massage oil. Wrap yourself in soft blankets. Make this space feel completely different from the rest of your home. It could be your bedroom and just a matter of changing the lighting and your music and maybe throwing a nicer blanket over the bed. Then make a few promises to each other. In our love den, nobody performs. Nobody gets judged. Nobody gets pressured. Nobody has to push through pain. This is a place where we explore, we laugh, we touch, we rest, and we reconnect. Over time, something amazing happens. Your brain begins associating that environment with safety, relaxation, affection, and pleasure. You're creating a new emotional map for intimacy. So, number five, protect intimacy like you protect everything else that matters. Finally, make intimacy a priority, not because you're trying to force romance, because you're protecting your relationship. Choose one day every week and put it on the calendar and treat it with the same importance as any other commitment in your life. And here's the agreement. You're going to spend an hour together with your phones off and the television off. The outside world can wait. Maybe you spend that hour giving each other massages or kissing. Maybe you lie naked together. Maybe you explore new ways of giving and receiving pleasure. Or maybe you simply hold each other and talk. There isn't a right way. The only goal is that when the hour is over, you both feel more connected than you did before it began. Because remarkable intimate relationships aren't built by accident. They're built by two people who continue choosing one another, even when our bodies have changed. I wanted to leave you with this. Maybe you've spent months or even years telling yourself, I just don't want sex anymore. But what if that isn't the whole story? What if you don't actually miss intercourse? You miss excitement, you miss anticipation, you miss laughing together, and you miss feeling beautiful and feeling wanted. You miss feeling safe enough to completely relax in your lover's arms. Those things can come back, but not by forcing yourself to have painful sex. They come back by learning a different way to be intimate, a way that doesn't hurt and doesn't depend on penetration, a way that leaves you feeling so connected, so desired, and so alive that you can't wait to be close to each other again. Because here's what I believe. The couples who thrive after illness, disability, menopause, or surgery aren't the ones who spend years trying to recreate the sex life that they used to have. They're the ones who become curious enough to create an entirely new kind of intimacy, one that fits the bodies that they have today and the relationship that they have today and the season of the life that they're living today. And sometimes what they create is even more affectionate and more playful and more emotionally connected and more satisfying than anything they had before. Desire isn't a switch, it's a garden. It grows when we nurture it. It grows when we remove the weeds of pressure, fear, shame, pain, resentment, and obligation. And if it's been a long time since anything has grown there, please don't assume that your garden is dead. Sometimes it's simply been neglected by you. Sometimes it just needs a different kind of care. I truly believe that every body deserves intimacy, not perfect intimacy or movie intimacy. Definitely not movie intimacy. Most movie intimacy doesn't look fun at all if penetration is painful. But I'm talking about your kind of intimacy, the kind that fits your relationship, your body, and your season of life, and leaves you both feeling closer than you were yesterday. So this week, don't ask yourself, do I want sex? Ask yourself, what's one small thing I could do to help us feel more physically connected? Because remarkable relationships are rarely rebuilt through one grand romantic gesture. They're rebuilt through dozens of tiny moments where two people choose each other again and again and again. If this episode gave you hope, I'd love to give you something practical to help you take that next step. I've created a free guide called 4 Ways to Enjoy Intimacy Without Penetration, and you can download it for free at my website, intimateostomate.com, or by clicking the link in the description below. Until next time, remember this. Intimacy is not worth doing unless it feels amazing and you can't wait to do it again. So instead of avoiding it because it doesn't feel amazing anymore, it's time to make it amazing again. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone that you think needs to hear this information. And in the meantime, I love you.